I've winged my entire life.
Yo,
That's a good way to look at it.
I feel that shit.
No, I've literally winged every presentation I've ever had to do in school, even in college. Like, I would never study for it. I would just, like, make my shitty PowerPoint, not practice, and just do it. And it never goes well. I don't know why I always do that.
You'd think you'd learn.
I did that when I hosted panels at HalCon, and I winged all of those, too.
Man, that just must mean you've got like just like a certain like charisma and like public speaking capability that you can just bullshit for an hour or like just like fill that time and like make it entertaining, you know? Hey, I'm Fingers.
Hey everyone, this is Days Ahead.
And I'm Nitroid. You're listening to the Kojima Frequency.
I mean, having Brady with me kind of like made it easy because we would just get mad at each other the whole time and that would just be funny, so we didn't actually have to like think of anything to say.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, Brady's hilarious. He seems like a good guy to like bounce off of, like comedically for sure.
Yeah, Brady is like, he's like one of the most like just naturally funny people I've ever met.
Yeah. Today on the show, coming to us live from Canada, we have James Lewell, creator of the web series Nitro Rad and the comedy channel Garanicor. How's it going today, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. I just kind of finished editing a bunch of stuff all day, and now I'm on a podcast with you and me and two other people that I don't know.
Hell yeah.
So should we all introduce ourselves or something first? I don't know anybody.
Yeah, you don't know these
guys. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, this isn't awkward in the slightest.
We just start talking to you and like pretend like nothing happened.
It's like,
Yeah, man, how you been? How's your family? Haven't seen them in forever. Don't read into
I haven't
that.
seen you, period.
Nitroid, he does like a lot of Metal Gear coverage. I don't know if you've, followed him and seen any of his stuff online.
I've seen on the Solid Snake Facebook page, I've seen some like posts are by a man by the name of Nitroid, and I assume that is this man.
This is the legend himself.
Hello. The only thing you might have ever known me from is an old website that I used to run called Metal Gear Solid, the unofficial site, but that's a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever would have seen that.
Yeah, it's okay.
You guys are a lot older than me, I think.
Yeah.
I got into Metal Gear when I was in my teens, and that would have been like 2010 for me.
Got some youngins on this podcast.
It's hurting me again. It was painful last time. It's painful this time. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm only 26. I'm not like super duper young, but
Yeah.
still not
yeah.
Too bad.
I got kids, man.
Oh god. Yeah, like I'm at the point where my friends are starting to have kids, and it's weird.
Yeah.
It's cool though. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we have Days over here. She's been in like the Metal Gear like meme community for a long time. I met her on Tumblr, like just through random shit posting and stuff. And then she heard about
Tumblr.
the Fiddle remix and was like, "Hey, wait, you live in the same state I do." And I was like, "Holy shit!" I'm playing a show in a little while. You should come out. And we met through that way. So it seems like the Fiddles relationship here. We got a little common
Yeah, I mean
ground
that's how we met.
Yeah,
that was
for sure.
We actually had a big ol' scuffle when over that. We should talk about that.
Yeah, it was right when Ground Zeroes had first came out. So that was 2014. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in my first year of college. I was like barely 19, and I was still like young and naive, and I just thought like memes were synthesized by the internet. I never like considered that like this was made by a person.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, Fingers.
What up?
This has me thinking, how the hell did we meet? Because I legitimately don't remember.
I think it was through the Solid Snake page.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Was it really just that time I started yelling at a dude and then we just started talking?
It like you were just like a frequent commenter on there, and every time I saw your name, like I kind of would like pay attention, like who would pop in and stuff, and I would see your name, and like every time you would talk, I'd be like, I like what that guy just said, and like I would just like I would physically like it on Facebook and like didn't really say too much, but then like there were a couple times where like I would be having an argument and you would come in, and most of the time like you would just be like, yep, what he's saying is right, but then you corrected me on the whole dominant recessive genes thing that I was arguing for 24 hours, and that got turned into a Snake Soup article.
And then it didn't even end up mattering.
Yeah, I was like, why the fuck are we arguing about genes after Kojima made a whole game about genes not mattering?
Yeah. I mean, that's more or less
yeah.
it. I think that was something I was thinking about the other day, actually, where like everyone's like the theme of Metal Gear Solid 1 is genes, but it's like I like to think it's more complicated than that. I don't think like if you write themes in a game, you're not just, the whole point of themes is you play it and you figure out what it is. The director just tells you what the themes are. It's not just like, again, it doesn't matter. The really what's there is it's about finding purpose. I always kind of felt,
Yeah.
Like Snake's like, I am a gun. That's the only thing he knows how to do, and he's got to figure out how the fuck to, deal with that in his own weird way.
Yeah. For sure.
But,
yeah, to reduce it down to like one word for sure. It can definitely be like a big theme that wraps around it all. Nitro, you've like kind of pointed how that all like in the in the fourth game that it didn't really have one, but it was kind of like the self.
Are you really going to get me talking about Metal Gear Solid 4 right off the bat?
I don't even figure just jump right into it.
Is that really what you're going to do? All right. So a little context here. MGS4 and I we got beef. I have some deep issues with that game.
I think many Metal Gear fans would agree.
Yeah, the gist of it is that the theme word of 4 is sense. Now, that's a word that can be interpreted a lot of different ways. It doesn't have a concrete meaning. It could mean your literal senses, your 5 senses. It can mean, or 6, however many you want to say. It can mean your sense of will or your sense of purpose, or you can take it a step further and say it means something like your soul. It's kind of a nebulous term in that regard. And MGS4 deals very much with what can't be passed on or what shouldn't be passed on. And in a weird way, it seems like the game sort of communicates that by not communicating a clear theme, if that makes sense. Its point is to not make a point.
Huh.
Did I lose you there? I think I might have gone off the deep end a little bit.
I said but I don't think Discord picked it up.
Okay.
Gotcha. I'm trying to sum up months of argumentation that I've had on this in like 5 seconds. It's not going well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely how we met, was through that page, just kind of talking those points. Like Nitro Rad was saying, God, I'm going to say Nitroid.
You should call me James just to avoid confusion.
Yeah, this isn't going to get confusing at all.
Yeah. I prefer James anyway.
Cool.
I think like calling people by usernames is just something I never really got.
Gotcha. But yeah, and then, so, yeah, you had made that like music video kind of that was just like a combination of memes and just used the fiddle remix.
It was just like a shitty meme I made where, God, it was like 20, what was it? It was just like, we gotta burn this meme off the face of the planet, and it was just like snake killing annoying memes back when that was something we complained
like
about.
Rage faces and stuff
like rage,
like that.
like Rage comics. Remember when the popular thing was to be annoyed that Rage comics exist because they're not funny and annoying, and that's what memes were. And it's like, what a weird fucking thing to be mad about. Anyway, and then I made that stupid meme video, and I used that song, and I think I did just find that song on Tumblr, actually, like weirdly enough.
Yeah, it did like just come out like that week. Like you were quick on it too. I was like still searching for it and stuff and seeing what would pop up, and then something popped up and I wasn't credited, and I was pissed.
Yeah, because
didn't that video make it all the way to Kojima Productions too?
Did it?
I don't know. I'm really not sure.
I thought you remember. I thought you said that they were playing it on one of the podcasts, or somebody showed.
Robinack and Downs one time was like, they said, how does it feel to be played like a damn fiddle? He was like,
and how does it
really good.
feel to be played like a damn fiddle?
Well, I brought some music to try and explain that today, but we can't play it.
Rights issues.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I remember this.
I was like, no, you could have played it.
No.
So Kaz's voice actor is definitely aware of the fiddle meme and the remix, but I think he just has to kind of dance around it,
Yeah. But going back to like me taking that song, that was back in those like early internet days, or when I was younger, more naive. I kind of like, you view memes as just this weird thing that just the internet synthesizes. You don't consider that someone like took the time to make it and work on it.
Yeah.
And I didn't consider that at all. I didn't consider someone even made this. I just grabbed a thing I found off Tumblr and threw it on a thing. And then I start getting these comments being like, wow, not cool of you to take this guy's song, man. You should credit him. And I was just like, this is the first time I've been called out for something on the internet. Because this is before I had like an internet presence. I think this is before I even started the Nitro Rad channel. I was making, because it was early college. I started Nitro Rad a couple months into college. But yeah, I started getting these comments and I was just getting mad. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And then we kind of like started butting heads. I was like, yeah, it wasn't nice for you to send your fans after me because I'm a fucking 19-year-old dipshit. Like, why would I react that way? But yeah, then we kind of like ended up just talking after that.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what happened. Do you remember what the fuck happened after that?
Yeah, not really. I remember just being like, hey, man, you should credit me. And you're like, okay, I did it. I definitely don't appreciate everybody being shitty with me. I was like, I can't control what they do, but I did say, hey, this guy's using my shit without permission or like without crediting me, and that kind of sucks. And I think just like that's the thing about the internet, man, is like you can like say something and then like your crowd or your audience or whatever you want to call it, they will go hard. Like, and you're like, Jesus, I did not mean for you guys to go that hard in. They're like sending death threats. You're like, no.
Yeah. People are loyal in the worst of ways sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then a few months later, he shot and directed an actual music video for the Fiddle remix with a couple of his buddies, and they like cosplayed, and it turned out really awesome. And I think he did that for the film school project. But then he sent me the file, and that's sitting on my YouTube channel now. So,
But this tension spiraled into a friendship. So
yeah,
it worked out.
It did. Well, I just want to make a quick thing. Like, sometimes it gets really bad in really weird ways. So, like, me and another YouTuber named Ant Dude, who also talks about platformers, we did a collaboration, I think about a year back, where I reviewed Rayman Arena and he reviewed some Rayman, like, edutainment games, and we guested on each other's videos. But the whole bit was that we don't really like each other. So we kind of, like, got mad at each other sometime. It was supposed to be jokey and fun or whatever, you know, a cute, like, love-hate relationship where we don't get along, like a buddy cop film or some shit. That was kind of what I was going for. And then we start getting these comments from these kids being like, yeah, Aunt Dude's such an asshole. I don't know why he's being so rude to you in this video, James. I'm going to go on his. And then they start going to his video, leaving hateful comments. And people come from his video leaving hateful comments to me because I was mean to him in his video. But it's like, do you guys not realize that if we worked together, we had to have agreed to act like this in each other's videos, like consensually as a joke? Like, it's not real. It's a review.
That parasocial relationship, it's wild.
It's bizarre.
You can't expect people on the internet to actually think about things.
No.
It's especially weird with like just doing like comedy and stuff like that and just like things where you have to just act a little bit. Like so many people just aren't on the wavelength that you're acting and just like take it for what it is. And it's like, wow, you are easily duped into like, I could probably sell you something very easily.
So have you ever had that experience like at a convention? Like have you ever had somebody get like weirdly close or, you know, something awkward happen?
I feel like every convention, well, I've only been to 3 conventions where people recognize me because I haven't really been to that many since my channel got like, you know, sizable. And like, I feel like every convention there's one person. So that means it's happened 3 times. It was never bad though. One person almost followed me into a bathroom, but then I said, yeah, whatever. And then they're just kind of like, oh, okay, sorry, I don't know. And then they left. And like, that felt like that was almost bad, but like not quite. But no, there's just like one where I was at one convention and like the person was just standing too close to me and was just talking about some game. And I was just kind of it wasn't a game I was terribly interested in, but they were just being nice and I was being nice, but they're just too close to me. So I take a step back. And they take a step forward.
Oh, no.
And you take a step back, and it's just like, what do you do? And then eventually they just kind of wrapped up the conversation, said bye. I said, thanks for talking to me. So it was cool. I haven't ever been anything really bad, but like, no, there's always people that just kind of don't get comfort zones. Like, they don't get that they're a stranger to me, and they kind of like approach me as if like I'm their friend. Like, I got really bad social anxiety, like cripplingly so. Like so bad that the first convention I got recognized at, the first 3 times people asked if I was Nitro Rad, I was so fucking scared I said no.
Aww.
Yeah. But
that's so cute. Oh yeah, also that last guy, he was the guy at anime clubs that was asking for a hug. Where's my hug? It was that
where
guy.
my hug
Oh,
at?
God.
Yeah. Wearing the free hugs sign. Yeah.
Oh god.
it's like, it's one thing, like I think that's wholesome, it's cool, but people kind of need to want the hug for that to kind of work out. If people don't want the hug, that's cool, leave them be.
It's a transaction.
Exactly.
It's definitely weird how like the social norms at conventions are just like people's social skills are definitely kind of lacking, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like not to be mean, but it is like people with nerdier interests. I find a lot of them grew up more to themselves. I mean, I was definitely like that. I was very into video games and nerdy shit.
Oh, same, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have like a lot of friends. I had like 3 close friends, like growing up in elementary school. Probably like I probably had less than 10 really close friends by the end of high school. Yeah. So I wasn't like super social butterfly. So I get it. I get it.
And that's the thing with social anxiety is like I have it too, and they're not considering that. So like at these these conventions, I'll be DJing, and then people come up to the merch table and they're talking, and I'm sitting there like having my own little freak out, just like trying to be cool and have this friendly conversation.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that's just like, it's gotten me a lot more comfortable being in that situation where there's those people is just like doing music. I did it all through school and just like performing and stuff. It's, you just kind of get that used to being in front of a crowd feeling and, DJing, you're just up there by yourself. It's like, all right, I either have to fake this or, just get through it or whatever. And I'm definitely not calm when I'm up there. That's, it's you have to just kind of like put on a thing that makes you look like you're comfortable.
You gotta put on a version of yourself that's just like this wilder character.
Yep. Yeah, it's like a slight exaggeration.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like when you slip into like a funnier version of yourself, then you feel a bit more comfortable. And that's kind of what I did learn to do over the course of that first convention. I was getting recognized. Like by the beginning, I was just so timid and scared of these people coming up to me. But then I just kind of learned not to take it too seriously. So, when people come up to me, I'm like, yo, what's G, man? And, I fumble over my words. I know I'm socially awkward, but I just plow through it because I know that's silly and I just harness that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just be like, hey, watch this. My finger's been back. And just break
the
ice.
Yeah. God, I'm so glad I was able to show everybody on my channel that. And at the end of that one April Fool's video, I don't know if it was the previous one or the one before that.
Yeah, that was like 2 years ago, I think, on the 2019.
Yeah. I think it's what we end on, isn't it? Doesn't it just end on you doing that and Brady and I scream and that's it?
Yeah, right after the unplugged performance with my MIDI controller.
We're like, because I literally stole that joke from Eric Andre, where it's like this guy unplugged, where it's just the instrument's not plugged in, so it's not making any sound. But I just thought that was so fucking funny, and I thought like. Yeah, Fingers is the DJ guy. That would be perfect for that. And plus, also, I kind of don't like using people's shit unless I can like put a face to it. Mm-hmm. Like my friend Kevin, he does a lot of like artwork for my channel and stuff. But I don't like this idea that like people see that art style and then they just think, oh, this is part of the Nitro Rad video. I like saying the word Kevin out loud. I like having, it says like Fingers at the end of the end slate. And I like having you on because then you got to see who you were, what you look like. You're not just just a name with the music. Now you see like, oh, there's a guy behind the table. And that kind of like brings that whole picture together, completes it,
Plus you get to freak out a giant audience with that bend trick.
Yeah. Right. Just like, what the hell is that?
That's got to be fun as hell.
Yeah. That's something really cool that you do with your channel, that you're actually like, you're actively thinking about that, about like including your contributors and, people like that. And that's one thing that you've like, going back to like how we first met, like you've completely flipped and like learned from that. You're like, okay, yeah, credit's important. There's people out here working on stuff and it's like, you've gone out of your way to like make sure that you do that on like everything that I've done with you. So it's really cool that you do that. And that's the way it should be. Everybody needs to be doing that. But it's like, that's awesome that you do.
I really appreciate you saying that because, like, trying to be better is something I actively try to do. Because I know I'm not good at everything. I know I'm kind of shitty in certain ways, but, like, you don't know you're shitty until, like, you figure that out. And then you can do one of two things. You can get mad at the person who pointed it out, or you can try to see things from their perspective and be like, you know what? Maybe I got to reel myself back and reevaluate what I'm doing. And it's just been all these tiny experiences like that. I made a lot of friends that way. Yeah. Just like, I remember I used to be like, when I first started YouTube, I used to be like a little ruder to people commenting. And it just wasn't a good look. And you figure that out and you're like, just because someone disagrees with you doesn't mean that they're wrong. I'm not always right. Yeah. And that's a mindset I'm kind of taken to the fullest extent with the current video I'm working on is Crash Bandicoot 4. So I love platformer games. I feel like movement in platformers is like the one single thing I understand more than anything. And I think it's just because I grew up like building shit so much with like, you know, like Lego, Bionicle, Kinects, Lincoln Logs. I like seeing stuff that can fit together. So when you think of like move sets and characters and you see how they move, you can piece that together with how the levels are designed. And Crash Bandicoot, despite being such a platformer nerd, I don't like Crash Bandicoot at all. I never got it at all. I don't give a shit about that fucking series. Yeah, not at all. And I know if I said that online, people would like eviscerate me. The platformer man doesn't like Crash Bandicoot. What the fuck? So I wanted to give Crash 4 a chance. I wasn't planning on reviewing it, but like Toys for Bob's doing it. And I really like their work on the Spyro trilogy. I thought that was super good. I like Spyro.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I had a
Yeah.
blast with the Spyro trilogy.
Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous game. And you can just tell they really love that series because the amount of work they put into it. Like in the original version, it was just like the same dragon you saved over and over, but they made like a different one for every single one.
Yes,
yeah.
and they had an outfit. They had a theme.
Yes, every single one.
Absolutely bonkers. So it's like you see a team like that getting put on Crash Bandicoot. I'm like, okay, maybe this will make sense to me now. And I ended up loving the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And Brady and Kevin, they're both super into Crash, so I kind of like wanted to collaborate with them to make kind of an interesting video where it's kind of like I start the video by explaining why I don't like Crash, why it doesn't make sense to me. Then Brady comes out and punches me in the fucking face and knocks me the fuck out, and then he explains why Crash has an appeal to him and why it makes sense to him. And then it cuts back to us on screen. He's like, okay, you think about it this way. Try to think about it this way. So I kind of start looking at the mechanics objectively, and then I compare it to what I do understand, and then I realize maybe this does make sense. And I
We
feel
should do
like
that for Metal Gear Solid with Metal Gear Solid 4 with Nitroid.
yeah,
Sit them down and be like,
exactly.
hey man, this is why I enjoy it. Look at Ride and Go.
I'm just.
Are you suggesting to punch Nitroid in the face?
You CQC on this show.
It won't stop me.
Oh yes,
I'll just keep complaining.
throw him right over into a barrel and roll him down a hill. That's what you got to be able to do. And like, if they make Metal Gear Solid 6, I want to be able to put other people in the box and ship them somewhere. Wait, why didn't they do that? Fucking Fulton. Fuck that. Why don't we just knock them out and
Just
put them
ship
in a
'em.
box and ship the box? That would have been way more on brand.
Amazon Prime, 2 days. Here you
Exactly. They probably didn't
Across
have
the
that
world.
in 84, but they probably make up some scientific Amazon Prime because, you know, it's all science fiction. If they have wormholes, I'm sure they could have equivalent on Amazon Prime. What am I talking about?
Assuming they ever make something again.
Yeah, that's, you know.
If Big Boss can create Mountain Dew, they can have Amazon Prime in 1984.
I forgot they have Mountain Dew and Peace Walker. Why?
Mountain Dew, Doritos, and Axe body spray. It's like the ultimate gamers game.
What? I did not know they had Axe body spray. I knew about
Yeah.
the Doritos and the Mountain Dew. What
Yeah,
the
it's
fuck?
only in the Japanese version though. Like they changed the
Oh, that makes
branding
sense.
for the US version, so it's like tortilla chips and like cola and cologne. But like it's straight up got the
Oh.
branding.
That's my kind of party.
Yeah.
Okay,
It,
I
like,
see. Because I knew
in-
the pop and the chips were equivalents to those. I didn't realize that's what the cologne was.
Yeah, in Japan, it's funny. They actually released Peace Walker branded cans of Mountain Dew.
That's amazing.
I remember that.
I would love to drink Peace Walker Mountain Dew.
Somebody needs to make like one of the Drake memes where he's just like pointing to like the tortilla chips and like, nah. And then he's like pointing to the Doritos. Like, yeah.
God damn. Well, you could do that because you got meme pages. Throw that up there.
Speaking of Peace Walker, this reminds me of a story my friend sent me. So, like, her ex-boyfriend was talking to her about Metal Gear, and she said, and I quote, he quoted, he was like, "It's such a good game. It's like Game of Thrones in that it's rich in lore." Now
Oh,
that
no.
comment aged like milk.
Oh my
But he kept talking about how it was quote unquote rich in lore. And when she told me that, I was like, "Girl, this is a picture of a man with a banana." And I sent her Big Boss with a banana from Peace Walker, and she was like, "What the fuck?" and just absolutely confused. And that's how I got my best friend into Metal Gear.
That's awesome.
That's a great story.
See, her boyfriend failed with that, but I won.
Hell yeah. I mean, this is the same series where like use porno magazines to distract guards.
Works 100% of the time.
Exactly.
It's my lucky day.
So you said like platformers is a main part of your channel for sure.
Yeah, biggest part.
I know you also do like horror games and like those like surreal indie games and stuff. Those are just like kind of like favorite like genres that you kind of grew up with, or?
Well, it's not so much that it's like me just tackling my favorite genre. I guess like, horror and platformers, those probably are my two favorite genres. Also with like action adventure, like any game where you go on a big adventure and there's maybe like shooting mechanics or I don't know, combat, stuff like Uncharted. Like I love that shit. Mm-hmm. But like I feel like platformers is the one thing I understand the most, so that's kind of why I wanted to tackle it. But what it really boils down to is like there was 3 games I wanted to cover when I first started my channel, and that was Star Tropics, just because it's like my favorite NES game and no one ever talks about. It was Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, because like that's it's not so great. It's like it's okay. They're like kind of B grade platformers. I like them. Not the third one, but the first 2 are pretty all right. And that's just again a game no one really talks about. So I figured that'd just be cool to kind of get started. And then the other one was Yume Nikki, which was a game that really meant a lot to me. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but it's like kind of like a 16-bit pixel horror game. You're just exploring the nightmares of this young girl, and it's very surreal and strange. And going off of those 3, well, I didn't really want to review more NES games because that's been done to death. And also, I kind of grew up around N64 and GameCube. I kind of missed the NES. I grew up playing the NES because my dad had one, but I was more N64 and GameCube. So I wanted to do more of the stuff that was like what I grew up with. You watch Angry Video Game Nerd, you're watching him talk about what he grew up with. So, I figured, well, let's talk about what I grew up with, because I know more about that, and also it's been less done. So I just kind of kept going with Ty and just did more platformers. I did Rayman, which I like. I did Gex, which I like. And then after you cover 3 platformer series, people go, that's what this channel's about. At that point, I didn't really have a clear direction, but then you start getting all these comments. You ever heard of Whiplash? You ever heard of Vex and Scalar? I'm like, no. You Google them. They're $5 on eBay. Let's buy all these games. Let's start reviewing those. And then it just went nuts from there.
And that's one thing too. You always like make sure to get like legit copies of the game too.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
do any emulation or anything.
Yeah. For 2 reasons. Firstly, again, I kind of grew up on Angry Video Game Nerd in my early teenage years, and I always liked this guy's actually got all this shit. That just felt way cooler than just anybody can emulate it. It feels like he's going forth the effort, and I feel like it just makes it feel all the better that way. And also, secondly, emulators aren't perfect. And if I were to criticize something that unknowingly was because of the emulator, not because of the game, then I would be miscriticizing the game.
Yeah.
And the example that made me realize that is one of my favorite surreal games. And again, I have a copy of this too, weirdly enough, is LSD Dream Emulator, which is this weird PS1 game that's just about exploring weird dreams. And I used to emulate it before I bought an official copy on the Japanese PS3 store. And I noticed in the emulated version, the water's blinking. It glitches. But in the official version, it doesn't, and it looks normal. And every gameplay video I ever watched of people playing this thing, Let's Plays and stuff, water was always flashing. And I just thought that's how the game is. And people playing the game would be like, yeah, I guess they fucked up the water. But no, they didn't fuck up the water. That's the emulator. And I was just like, I can never make that mistake. I would look like a fool. So that's the big reason why I always play shit on the actual hardware.
Well, speaking of like actual hardware and playing it only on that, it looks like PT is not playable on the PS5. Did you get around to playing that?
I do have PT. Actually, I have a PS4 that's just for PT. Because I bought a PS4 Pro when God of War came out, and I moved everything from my old PS4 to my new PS4, but I did it in a way that still left PT on my old PS4. So now PT's on both of my PS4s, so this other PS4 is just for PT, just so I have that, so I can never lose that. And then there's my current PS4 that also has it.
Yeah, don't ever sell that.
Oh, never.
I managed to transfer mine over to the Pro when I got it, which I was surprised I was even able to, but... With the 5, I thought, there were reports early on of people who had received review consoles, and they said they were able to play PT on it until an update was issued, and that it removed the compatibility. Essentially, it locked it out.
That's really bad. I guess what that must have been is like they just made everything compatible, and then they didn't realize that, and Konami was like, no, don't do that.
Sony said it was due to, quote, publisher request. So
that's precisely what that would be.
So
God
what
damn,
I was
sucks.
wondering what I was wondering is if I could transfer everything over before, like when I got my PS5, I was thinking, all right, it's obviously going to update as soon as I plug this thing into the internet. So can I transfer everything over before I update and get it to work?
Yeah.
But they require you to log into your account to transfer anything over. And you have to be up to date in order to log in. So there's no way to do it.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, that's terrible. Fuck. What do you even do about that? Yeah, you can't really.
Keep your PS4 forever and hope it doesn't break.
Yeah. But what I'm worried about is like, because I don't have a PS5 yet. I would like to get one. They just vanished the day they came out, so I don't have one
Yeah.
yet. But when I get one, it's going to be like, well, I'm going to want to move my shit from PS4 to PS5. But will it take everything off of the existing PS4? Will I lose PT off of my existing PS4 if I do that transfer? No, I won't.
No,
It's
it
just a
all
copy?
stays there.
Okay, thank fuck. So it's just copying. It's not like the
Right.
the Wii to the Wii U where it actually removed it from the Wii and put it on the Wii U.
Yeah, they left it because we keep our
Okay.
PS4 like now in the bedroom and the PS5 out in the living room. So like we
Oh,
can
that makes
hop
sense,
back
yeah.
and forth with some of the games, which is pretty cool.
Also, you can do remote play through
Yeah.
PS4 too. Yeah, that's so they definitely would have thought of reasons why, like, yeah, they're gonna keep this thing. Let's not take everything off of it. That was a good call.
So I wanted to ask you something.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be that guy who's like, hey, have you played this for a second?
That's fine. Go for it.
But because you have an interest in platformers and an interest in horror games,
Yeah.
they dovetail in a game called Eversion, and I was wondering if you've ever played that.
Oh, I've never played it, but is that the 2D like 16-bit platformer from like the late 2000s?
Yeah.
Where he plays like the flower thing, and it seems like a normal game, but the more further you go, the more fucked up it gets.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. Okay, I know about that game, and I've seen pieces of it, and I used to have a lot of people ask me about it, but I've never actually got around to playing it. But that said, that is something I would like to play sometime. But, there's like a billion things I also want to play, so it's just a matter of getting to it sometime.
Yeah, God, I could probably pick your brain on horror games for like,
Probably.
hours.
I've almost reviewed all of the ones I wanted to when I started the channel now. I'm only one away.
I got which one?
Have you done one for PT yet?
Well, I don't think PT was out when I started the channel, but when I started the channel, it was like, I want to do all the PS2 horror games that like people kind of know and are hard to find. So it was like Haunting Ground, Rule of Rose, all the Silent Hills, all the Sirens.
Just
all
watching
Fatal
the
Frames,
Haunting
Clock
Grounds
Tower.
video to prepare for this. I was just watching that.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted
Good.
to tell you, a friend of mine and I had been talking about that recently, and
Yeah.
he's kind of a data miner in a lot of ways. He goes looking through things, and
Yeah.
you might find this interesting. The some of the files inside of Haunting Grounds are labeled CT4.
CT4?
Uh-huh.
Clock Tower 4.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I brought that up in not like the files, but I think I brought up that Haunting Ground was going to be a Clock Tower game at some point.
Yeah.
It's like a weird amalgamation. There's some Resident Evil 4 in there too. Some like assets, like the kind of Victorian design, I think was remnants of that or something like that too.
So kind of detaching it from the franchise, let them experiment a bit more.
Yeah. But yeah, the last thing I want to do on PS2 is just Kuon, which is an old FromSoft game. It's like kind of a Resident Evil style survival horror with tank controls, fixed angles. Apparently is really bad. I played it for like probably 10 minutes at a friend's house on like a burnt copy when we were just, flying through these things just to see what they all were briefly. So I don't know anything about that. Someone mailed me a copy. That thing's worth like a crazy amount of money.
It didn't come out in the West, did it?
It did.
Oh, it did? Okay.
It's just insanely rare. It's like $900 or something like that. It's bonkers. So this person just mails me a copy. I'm like, why would you do this? They said, because it's horrible. I never want to see it again. I was like, okay. I don't have the case with it, but God bless her for sending that to me. Thank you if you're watching. I wanted to do that this October, but life's been a lot busier than it's been in this past year, and it's really hard to find the time to make videos now. So I kind of ended up spilling my horror special into November, where I did the last Echo Night video in November, and I'm probably going to try to do Kuon before the end of the year. I might just just say fuck it and do it in February. I don't give a shit. Halloween's whenever the fuck I want it to be.
It's never the wrong time for horror games.
No, as long as you like it. That's what matters. I mean, like Resident Evil 2, that remake came out when? Like February? That's all I played then.
Yeah.
God, has it been that long?
I think so. It's been, it'll be 2 years this February? Wow.
Oh, man.
It's already 2 years. I think still feels fresh out of the oven.
It does.
I mean, I guess they have the remake of 3. That came out too.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Yeah,
I
that was
never-
kind of a quick in and out.
Was it not so great? I heard mixed things about it. I didn't play it like I did the second one.
They just didn't focus on it as much. Like, it could have just been like an expansion to 2. Like, that's
Yeah.
what it
Right.
felt
Yeah.
like playing through. You're like, oh, okay, well.
Oh, I see. So that's
Yeah, it
kind
hurt
of
me
probably why
deep.
they did the multiplayer shit to kind of pad that out or something, huh?
Yeah, and 3 was my favorite original Resident Evil. That and Code Veronica. So like it, ugh.
Yeah.
Everybody, I think, was really looking forward to perusing through Raccoon City with HD, and then that was really only like a set piece.
Yeah,
so
and they stuck you
I
on
think that was
rails.
Yeah, I think that was the most
kinda
disappointing.
Sucks. Yeah, because 2 was pretty open ended. Like you would unlock the shortcuts, and it would you're going through a couple of hallways, but that just turns out no, I'm going through this whole police station, going through the whole underground parking lot. The sewers kind of felt like the only part to me that was like super linear.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know what? The rest of the game after the sewers is pretty linear too. But that first police station part is so much fun.
Yeah, to just slowly figure out.
Yeah, and it's so labyrinthian because you can take one route and you've always got like 3 different directions that you can go in
Yeah.
if you need to get around somewhere.
Yeah.
And
I love that it would mark like all the shit you didn't pick up on the map.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's like, I don't have space for this herb now, but like later, I might just risk running all the way back there to get that. That was like a really cool thing. Because otherwise, I wouldn't have bothered because I wouldn't have known it's there. That kind of adds like a risk versus reward. Once you know it's there, well, then you can like maybe run past some zombies and risk that to get that shit. And then it's like the equivalent of dying to get the one up in a Mario game. You fucking die trying to get it. It's a waste of, or you take 2 hits trying to get it and it was a waste of time anyway. But I like
risk
those
reward,
kind of, I like those kind of options because if I fuck up, I knew it's because I decided to risk that.
Yeah, they did a great job with like the map system. Yeah, it's just like, didn't they like change the color once you like had picked up everything in a room and it turned blue, right?
Right.
Oh yeah,
Right.
they did that too.
That was great
Yeah.
design.
Everything was just very.
I was
yeah.
gonna say I could never speedrun those games because I'm too busy item managing, like you said. Like you have to get everything. You have to put everything in the item box. Every room has to be blue.
Yeah, I'm the same way. But I love that stuff. I love resource management. And that's a big part of why I love horror games so much. Like the horror game that really got me into horror games, I was I think first year high school. And I got Silent Hill 1 off of the PS3 store. So I never like grew up with a PS1, but when I got a PS3 and you could download them for $5 each, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to see what I missed out on. That's when I got into Metal Gear Solid. That's when I got into Silent Hill. And I thought Silent Hill was just so freaking cool. Like the idea of like, you know, I have a steel pipe that's really fucking hard to hit these things with, or I got a gun. But I only got so much bullets in the gun, so I'm going to try and risk like hitting them with the pipe. But oh shit, I got hit, so maybe I should pop this guy in the head. Oh shit, I'm out of bullets. And it's just having to worry about all of that at once. I just felt like I was always on my toes for like the first time playing a game. And I thought that was like so freaking cool.
yeah, and it's kind of like where your lack of being able to effectively protect yourself or defend yourself makes
Yeah.
it scarier.
Yeah. And I always felt that like games where you don't defend yourself and you just run and hide in a locker just weren't scary to me for that exact
Yeah.
reason.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Am I like hide and seek horror? Never scared me because I just know, well, I just run from the guy and hide. That's what you do every time. There's no
Right.
uncertainty. There's no like, you know, room for, I guess there's room for error, but not to the degree of like, you know, when you have to think about all these other things, like in a resource management kind of way.
It's like monotonous at points, whereas
Yes,
like Mr. X feels like way more like risk versus reward.
Yeah.
Like I cannot like, oh, I am not fucking going in that area right now. Like him like, you know, patrolling one area and like I really need that item, but I really don't want to deal with him.
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
you know, he's less scary on your second playthrough. But that
Yeah.
first experience, man.
I like how they do it. Like I think Resident Evil 2 Remake is like the only game where I've enjoyed being continually pursued by like another character. Because firstly, it's not some big scary gross monster. No, it's just a big man and you hear his boots stomping. He's coming to the next room. It's like, you know he's coming before he's coming, but you don't know where he's coming from. You know he's coming. It's like, shit. Now there's anticipation. It's like when the radio goes off in Silent Hill, it's like, shit. I don't know where he is, but I know he's coming. And also, like, you don't just run and hide in a locker. No, you can shoot him. You can struggle with him. You can try and knock him back. There's a lot of options there. And now it's just this uncertainty. And one thing I want to address is, like, I think it's funny how a lot of people complain how it's like, it was scary at first, but then it just got really annoying how every time you're trying to do a puzzle, you gotta run away from him. And then they always use B-roll of the only puzzle he can interrupt where you're moving the bookcases.
The bookshelf, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only puzzle he can interrupt. Everyone's like, every single puzzle. Yeah, every single one puzzle, guys. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I feel like he was way more intimidating in the original than in the remake. Like, I could kind of just, like, run around him and, like, dodge him. But, like, in that second, in the one scene in the original, when you turn on the monitor and he's coming down that one catwalk and you're just like, oh, shit.
Oh,
like, there's no way out but through him.
I like that when you, like, click on a video feed and you just, like, just see there's something where you need to go that you don't want to go to.
Yep.
It does kind of bum me out that they sort of blew their load with Mr. X in a manner of speaking, with regards to Nemesis in 3.
Yeah, how did that work out?
Yeah, Nemesis was a set piece.
Yeah, he borrows so heavily from Nemesis conceptually, in that he's a persistent threat stalking you, that when we finally got to Nemesis, you sort of already knew what to expect, and all they could really do to change it up was to make him run.
Yeah. I'm guessing he probably just kind of behaves the same kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, he can sort of Spider-Man out of an area, and occasionally he's got a rocket launcher.
I was going to say, couldn't he jump?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple places really early on in RE3 where he will genuinely, like, mess up your day.
God damn.
And it can scare the hell out of you. But then he just sort of gets relegated to, like, he just sort of gets reduced into, like, a set piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've actually never played the originals on PS. Oh, I played the original, the first one. I played maybe, like, the first 3 hours of it. I didn't get, like, super far into it, but I mostly just played, like, the remakes. Like, I played the remake of 1, I played the remake of 2. I never played the remake of 3. I beat 4, 5. I beat Leon's campaign in 6. And then I got to the part where you got to run out of the building as Chris in his campaign. But my friend Jamie and I were too distracted by the fact that, like, if you shoot a single leaf on the flower pot in the background, it breaks the pot, which makes no sense. And we just thought that was so funny that we kept looking at that instead of running out, and the building kept blowing up. And we didn't get past that part because it was just too funny that this fucking shooting a leaf would blow up the whole pot plant. But potted plant. I don't know, it'd be cool if it was pot plant, but that's a YouTube joke right there. Anyway, I don't even remember what I was talking about. I never really played the originals because, again, I never really grew up on PS1 games. But when I was getting back into it, or getting into it for the first time on PS3, I made the mistake of playing Silent Hill first, and to me that felt super duper scary. And then I played Resident Evil 1 after, and then it's like, well, this doesn't have strafe buttons, the controls are worse, the enemies aren't as scary, this is like goofy and cheesy and not scary, and I just didn't really get it at first. I appreciate it now. I think the remake is actually kind of spooky, but, like, I think the actual scares, the originals aged like milk.
Oh, yeah, it's like a B movie where you're just like, what?
Yeah, I was going to say that. It feels like a B movie, whereas, like, I don't know, you guys can disagree with me on this, but Silent Hill, like the original Silent Hill, it feels more like grindcore-ish? Grindcore-ish.
Yeah. It feels like the acting's amateur, but it still feels like there's, like, genuine heart there. There's genuine, like, chilling ideas there.
And in a weird way, the corny acting in Silent Hill sort of lends itself to the aesthetic. It sort of brings it out a bit more in sort of a David Lynch sort of way.
Yeah, well, that's something a lot of people praise too for, where, like, the actors don't even really sound like they're in the same room when they're recording their lines. And I think it's cool because, like, in Silent Hill 2, every character kind of is in their own reality. They see different monsters. They see different, like, things. That's why Laura can just run around. She's a little girl. She has nothing to fear. She doesn't see the monsters. They don't exist to her. Or at least that's what people kind of interpret from that thing. And I think that kind of, like, really just took that one step further, where these characters don't even sound like they're talking to each other. Like, they're literally in their own little booths, their own little bubble, trying to get out and understand each other, but they just can't because they're just not there.
I love that one line in Silent Hill 3 where I think it was Vincent who said it. Where he's like,
Oh, they look like monsters to you?
Yeah, that's
yeah. I knew you were
like,
gonna say that one.
Whoa.
That was the line that fucked me up in that game. Because it's like, yeah, because like in Silent Hill 2, again, I remember, well, people react differently to the monsters. Maybe they all see different things. Who's to say Heather's any different?
That in the damn mirror room.
Oh, the fucking mirror room.
Why is the door locked?
I think Silent Hill 3 has like the best like individual scares of like the first 4 games for sure.
So I actually had like 2 questions sort of pertaining to survival horror. So with regards to like scary games, I mean, like Metal Gear has its scary moments. You know, there's Psycho Mantis, there's as I like to call it, there's the Ocelot elevator face. I still think that's scary. Do you think that influenced like your appreciation for the series? And like, is there any like standout scary moment for you?
In like the Metal Gear series?
Yeah.
Okay, when you said elevator Ocelot face, or did you mean Otacon face?
Or Otacon. Oh my god, I used to mix that up all the time as a child. That's what I was thinking. Please, comments do not like flame the shit out of me.
Y'all know what she meant.
No, I do the exact same thing. Like your brain just says the wrong word. But yeah, no, like that moment really got me because there's like that line where like you clearly get it before the 2 characters do. He's like,
right.
Wait a minute, Snake. The elevator's too heavy. It can't move. But you're the only one on there. And I was just like, I thought in Peace Walker, the parts where you gotta like avoid the ghosts was kind of spooky a little bit. But I found that kind of like more annoying than anything. Oh, Metal Gear Solid 1, where you can like take pictures of ghosts and it's just like the developers snuck into the game. Imagine finding that by accident. Just taking a picture of some random thing and you look at it later and there's something in it that wasn't there before. That would have scared the shit out of me as a kid.
So it's funny you should say that. The scariest moment for me in the entire series is kind of a dumb little thing they do.
Oh, yeah?
In MGS2 Substance, one of the VR missions, they've got these VR and alternative missions, and some of them are photography missions where you have to, like, they show you a thing, you have to photograph it. And one of them is you're in the tanker and all the lights are off and you have to photograph like a dead body or something or a ghost.
Whoa. That's cool.
And so you don't know where it's going to come from, but you walk into this, like, you know, that long dark corridor on the way in the tanker when you're below deck?
Oh, God. It's been a long time since I played 2, so anyway, just continue.
Before the shootout. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And so you're on this long, dark hallway. The music's really creepy. You can't see anything. And then you get to this one little alcove with a dead body laying on the floor. And you look forward, and the gimmick is you have to shoot the light out because the clue is that ghosts hate the light, right?
Oh, I see, yeah.
And you shoot the light out, and a dead body ghost comes through the door, like, right at you. And you have to take a picture of it. And that scared the shit out of me.
I was just going to say, I really like the phrase dead body ghost.
It's like this mangled ghost just like floating right at you. No animation or anything. That's
really cool. I like, that's freaky.
Kojima predicted Phasmophobia. That's wild.
Phasmophobia. That old... Oh, is that the... Okay, I always get that mixed up with Phantasmophobia.
I'm saying Phasmagoria,
no, I do too.
Right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because I was just like, how do you protect something that came out before? Oh, wait, no, yeah, new game. I've actually been playing that with my buddy Rob. That's a fun fucking game. Like, it's kind of simple. Graphics aren't the best. It's just indie or whatever. But that is such a cool idea. I don't know if you guys have played Phasmophobia.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little bit, and it's great.
Yeah, like the idea where you got to not play that game on Discord. You got to use the in-game chat. Because like the idea that it's like proximity chat, you know, the further you get away from each other, the harder it is to hear. Then you use a radio. And then it's like, well, now that the ghost can fuck up your radio, that creates situations where I'm like, all right, Rob, what are you looking for in there? Oh, you know, I see a thing in there, nothing. Okay, I'm gonna hit the thing on here. What do you think now, Rob? And then just because the ghost like just turned his radio off, that's actually fucking terrifying. That's a sensation I've never had a game give me. Because it's like when it involves somebody else and they just take away your ability to communicate with them, that just creates like really freaky moments.
And like cool one guy made this too, didn't he?
Was it just one dude? God damn.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true, but everyone that I've talked to has said, yeah, it was just like one guy.
It's crazy. I mean, a lot of good ass games have been made by just a single person, so it doesn't surprise me too much. But good on him. God damn.
So my second question was,
Yeah.
have you ever played Eternal Darkness?
Yeah, I reviewed that game actually. I love that game.
I need to find that review. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the connection is Twin Snakes. Like, what's that company?
Silicon Knights.
Silicon Knights, thank you.
Good
Well,
old,
that was the game that got them the Twin Snakes deal.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense because, both GameCube, they came out like right one after another. No, Eternal Darkness is great. I feel like that is a game that really figured out how to transition these angles that like horror games are known for. Like when you're walking down the cathedral and then you walk down, like turn the corner and the camera doesn't cut. The camera like transitions and moves and like, there's some really cool angles in that. And I feel the combat's kind of like simple. Like it really just boils down to like you go up, hold R and up, and then mash the A button to chop their head off, run around to the back and hit them again. And it's like, it gets kind of challenging with some of the harder enemies, but like the whole spell system was really cool. I liked having like again, it felt like I was managing instead of like bullets and stuff. I was managing how much magic I had.
Right.
And like, and also your sanity too, because you don't want that to go too low because then you start taking damage. It was a really interesting take on like managing resources. You're not managing because you do have bullets and stuff, but like not a lot. You don't really use them much because you bounce between so many different characters that it's hard for them to really dedicate you to an inventory when you play through like 12 different people throughout that thing. So like instead doing it with these like a magic meter, health meter, psych meter? No, that's Metal Gear. Sanity meter. Thank you. Like that was a really interesting, like kind of solution to that. But yeah,
that sanity meter did some crazy shit. That was like the thing that I appreciated the most about that game was just like how much it messed with me. Like, I was surprised Kojima wasn't involved in that game.
Yeah, it is kind of a shame though, that like. You play that game because you hear, like, you watched a YouTube video of someone talking about the sanity effects, right? That's the one thing everyone knows about that game.
Yeah.
But, like, the sanity effects are kind of supposed to be a punishment when that's the cool part. So, like, if you play the game well and you keep your sanity up, which is what you're supposed to do, you're just not going to see any of the cool shit. And I feel like they needed a way to, like, let that happen without you just making it happen. Because, like, to get B-roll of the sanity effects, I had to deliberately just let enemies drain my sanity just to see most of it. Yeah, and that kind of it just doesn't happen naturally, which is the problem with it.
Right.
But still a cool fucking thing they did. I think that was one of like the earliest games that really broke the fourth wall in a lot of interesting ways. Like kind of poorly aged in that it's not really going to be convincing on an HD TV with like, the CRT kind of like video thing. And, same with Psycho Mantis, like the volume going down. It doesn't look like that anymore. But one thing that I still think is really well aged is when they make it look like a fly landed on your TV. That actually got me. I tried to swat it and I felt like a fucking dummy. I felt like a goofy, dumb, poopy brain. But they got me and it was cool.
They tried to get a spiritual successor off the ground through Kickstarter, but it didn't take off.
No, you know why? Because it came out around the same time that Mighty Number 9 came out, and everybody was too busy jacking off to that to pay attention to it.
Oh, man. Can we trade it?
That came
Seriously?
out.
And the rest is history.
Take it back.
Funny story about Mighty Number 9. I don't remember what year it was, but I went to E3 and they had Mighty Number 9 on the Playroom floor.
Is this like before it came out?
Yeah, it was before it came out. They just they had a demo of it, and I'm like, oh man, I've been hearing about this, and they had that huge Kickstarter, and it's like a Mega Man spiritual. Like I knew all the everything about it.
It's like Mega Man's finally back. Yeah.
Yeah, I was so excited, and so I went and I got the controller and I played for about 5 minutes, and I was like, oh no,
oh no,
this is a train wreck. This is going to be awful.
God, I couldn't imagine like being one of the first people to learn that game was not going to be good. Because the hype train was hardcore until it launched, and that's when it was like, no, this sucks.
And I after I had 5 minutes with it, and I knew like this was gonna tank hard.
Yeah. God damn. I feel like that was the first in a trilogy of like a very steady redemption arc when it comes to those kickstarted revivals of this old game you love that they don't make anymore. The second one was Banjo. X-Rare developers made Yooka-Laylee. And that was the next step up. It wasn't nearly as bad as Mighty Number 9, but it left a lot to be desired. You know, they fumbled over a lot of the mechanics. Some stuff like the minecart sections are just bad. Some of the levels are too big, hard to navigate. But I mean, there's a good moveset there. Some of the, what was it? Not Jiggy, Pages. Some of the Pages were fun to get. I feel like 50% of that game's really fun. 50% of it is just like either garbage or mediocre. But it was the next step. And then the last one was like, hey, remember Symphony of the Night? We're going to do one of that.
Yes.
And
No.
yeah, that's the one I didn't care that much about because I'm not into the Castlevania games, just not really my forte. But that was the one that turned out really, really good from what I hear. People love Bloodstained. I was really happy to see that
was
one.
fun.
Yeah,
and the
that
retro
one.
game that they did with it too, Circle of the Moon.
Yeah,
that shit was dope.
Yeah, I played that one because I do like retro NES games. That's what I grew up on.
There's a sequel out for that now too. I got to play.
Yeah.
I got to ask you something. And this is something that's been driving me crazy for a long time, and I'm hoping that because you know a lot about platformers, you'll have an answer for this.
Well, you're asking the right guy because I've beat Kaya Dark Lineage and Haven Call of the King.
Oh my god!
Yeah, what are those?
I don't even know what that is.
Exactly. Ask away.
I don't have a term for this, so I'm going to try my best to explain what I mean. But there has been this trend for the past, 10 years or so, where companies will revisit or reimagine platformers, classic platformers. But what they make has what I can only refer to as floaty bullshit in terms of how it feels.
Technical term, yeah, that's what they call it.
I don't know what to call it. But it was in New Super Mario Brothers. It was in Sonic 4. It's in Mighty Number 9. And it's just this like, you don't feel like there's a one-to-one with what you're pressing on the controller and what's happening on the screen.
Yeah.
And like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, I can't describe it well.
Yeah. Oh no, it's exactly. It's weight. It's just the character's weight is not correct. Because like a lot of older games, like think about what was the first character, the first game that had like physics involved in the moveset, in the movement, and it felt good to like kind of. It wasn't just on or off. It was how much you ran first, how long you held the A button. You know, it was Super Mario Brothers.
Right?
Yeah, had weight.
Say Mario
to it.
3, especially like when she got like all the like super run power ups and stuff. And
exactly.
Flying,
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, I'm going fast as shit.
And is it just a consequence of like converting it to 3D? Because all these games made that transition to 3D rather than 2D.
I think it's a consequence of people just not knowing how to program good feeling physics. Because you can do it in 3D games, like 3D side-scrollers. A good example, like Crash 4, you know, there's 2D segments in that game. The weight feels good. That side-scrolling ukulele that they did, what was it? Impossible Layer. Again, weight actually feels pretty good in that one. So it's not impossible to do. It's just a matter of they just didn't get it right. And I think, like... Yeah, there was that period where they're doing like those kind of retro revivals, but not like, it wasn't like Sonic Mania retro. It was like, no, modernized retro, where it's like the new looking character with the old style, like it's side scrolling. But like
when they remastered Crash, like that, I remember they had a big problem because I think, what did they do it in Unity or something? But I think
it was Unreal.
When they were designing the levels, like they were all like curved and had like a weird slope. So like you would land, but then like you would slowly slip back without hitting anything. So it's like the levels weren't designed to be like ran on, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know what that's called either, but it sounds like shitty level design.
Yeah, it's just a matter of like, you know, getting the programming right and making it feel right. And, you know, that's a really hard thing to get right. Physics is like a really complicated thing. There's a lot of games I played with like really wonky physics. Again, I've played Vex, I've played Scalar, I've played like anything under the sun. And it's like a lot of these games just don't have good feeling physics. I just think it's just not an easy thing to do. And I think that's all it was. Cause you know, when they're doing those retro throwbacks, they're going to put like a B team on it. Like, they got Dimps to do the Sonic 4 thing. I didn't get the main Sega guys. Not to say the main Sega guys are terribly good at making Sonic games either, but you know, it's just that. And then, you know, you get Sonic Mania and just get talented programmers that kind of, you know, understand how to make it feel right. And then it does. Yeah. That's just all it is.
It's weird how the fans seem to understand these games more than the developers.
It's because the fans are the ones that play the games way more than the developers. Like, I guarantee you, I have beat Mega Man 2 way more times than the person who's made Mega Man 2. I mean, not to say that I know how to program Mega Man 2, but I could tell you why the jump feels good.
Yeah.
Same reason
Yeah.
Hollow Knight's jump feels good is because it's like there is no physics, and they make like level design that benefits from that. Because like Mega Man, you also got to think about aiming a gun. So if you're thinking about like I got to run first to get height, then shoot. No. You don't have to worry about the movement or like the speed of your movement. It's always the same. Your jump from a standstill is going to be the same as a jump from running. So because of that, since they dialed that back and made it simpler, yet they still give you a lot of control, now it's easy to focus on shooting guys. Where in Mario, you had to focus on landing guys.
Yeah.
Totally different sort of idea. So they kind of dial back the physics to match what the other actions you're doing is.
It makes me curious to think, like, there's been more talk with, now with Demon Souls being out now. Bluepoint's kind of the company that's been talked about, the most with, doing like a remake for Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah,
I wonder what kind of like physics, if they're gonna go like more like Fox Engine, like real fluid, or like try to go back to some kind of older analog of that,
Oh yeah, because the games they've remade a PS2 game and a PS3 game. They remade Shadow of the Colossus, and I beat both versions multiple times. I think they feel pretty similar. Maybe not 100%, but almost. So I think they did good on that. I haven't played the Demon Souls remake, but people just tell me it plays more or less the same, just less janky. So I think Bluepoint's good on like control front. But the problem with Metal Gear is Metal Gear's changed so much over the series. There's been one Shadow of the Colossus, we know how that plays. There's been one Demon Souls, we know how that plays. But it's not like Metal Gear where they've had 5 or 6 games if you want to count Peace Walker, more if you want to count other games. And they've always changed how it felt, from the camera changes, the way you aim a gun changes.
Yeah.
They add different things like rolling. So yeah, that's a complicated question. If they remade Metal Gear Solid 1, would it be Metal Gear Solid 1 with new graphics? Because that's what they did 2 times previously. Or would it be like a Twin Snakes kind of deal? Or instead of like first person shooting, they also got third person shooting. Is it going to be Fox Engine? That's a complicated question. There's so many different ways they could do that, where like the previous 2 projects, there's kind of only one way they could do it. So I don't know if they would be put on that project. And if they did, it would be a huge undertaking. And I don't know how much I like that, because I think Bluepoint is good at emulating what's there and improving it. But they kind of lack original artistic direction. And people notice
Nitroid's big complaint with them. They're like their tone and just the. Go ahead, Nitroid. I'll let you explain that.
That's my biggest concern. Isn't whether or not they could come up with something mechanically interesting, because you would have to reconceptualize the first Metal Gear Solid from the ground up if you were going to remake it. What that game would not work today. Unlike, if you look at Shadow of the Colossus, that's a very unique game. You can translate those mechanics into a better looking, into a more, into a higher fidelity environment, and it's still going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
And same with Demon Souls, which is less dated. But Metal Gear Solid it's essentially Pac-Man with a gun, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of what it is.
I've never heard someone say that, and that sounds so stupid, but makes so much sense.
I can't take credit for it. That's Tim Rogers.
Tim Rogers is a genius. I don't even know who that is.
Oh, you got to look him up. But the thing is, my big gripe with what Bluepoint has done, and I wish them all the success in the world if they try to tackle Metal Gear Solid, is that they seem to misunderstand intent with regards to artistic direction.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've been seeing that stuff too. The changes they've made.
Yeah,
it seems like they just do not fundamentally understood the purpose of those designs, and just kind of. It's almost as if they just ripped the models from the game and just copied it, but changed it up so it didn't look like they copied their friend's homework. You know what I mean?
It was. There was a comment they made that a friend of mine and I kind of laugh at occasionally, where they were talking about Shadow of the Colossus, and I can't remember who it was that said this, but they said they turned a concerto into a symphony, which is kind of a silly statement if you know what a concerto is.
I don't know what a concerto is,
but it's they're not. It's one is not an evolution of the other. It's a different thing. But that's beside the point. They seem to kind of want to take these original games and make them cooler.
Yeah.
Like that's the impression I get from Demon Souls, where there's so
Yeah.
many designs where they take, say, I don't know the names of the enemies, but where
Booger Fart
they
Man.
would be these sort of soulless, wandering
Husks.
Yeah, essentially they're
Yeah.
just, there's something unreal about them, and they just turn them into generic zombies.
I heard the ooh they make when you kill them now.
Yeah.
Am I at a Sox game when the fans just had to get sad that they lost? That sentence could not have come out worse, but you know what I mean. Like it sounds like sad football fans. It doesn't sound like this husk, this like bizarre remains of this hundreds of years old soldier that's just still there repeating the same mindless movements, because in the same way that like those bugs in Hollow Knight are. They're just husks of their former selves. No. That just feels like that was just taken away by just putting this goofy like sound when you hit them.
Throw the Wilhelm screaming there while you're at
Oh
it.
God, yeah, may as well.
I was gonna say, going to a more like generalized like criticism about people trying to remake Metal Gear Solid, I'm gonna hit back to Silent Hill 1, and I'm gonna say both that and Metal Gear Solid are almost of a product of their time, in a sense that I don't think you could get the same aesthetic from newer technology. It's like a prime example of like art from adversity. Like a great example is like the elevators on MGS1, because they couldn't, actually program like a whole elevator shaft. They made this sort of gradial black into the darkness, and like if you do that on a new console or in the latest console generation, then they're gonna make that whole hallway or whatever. But now that you have like that fade to black, it was the perfect aesthetic for Shadow Moses, and nobody's ever gonna do that again. I hope people know what I'm talking about.
I totally get what you're talking about. Like those technical limitations is what gave it the vibe it has. Another really good example, and I learned this from a really cool channel called Boundary Break.
Hey, shouts out to Boundary Break.
Where I think it's Otacon's office, I think it's that room, there's a whiteboard and you can see the reflections of the lights behind it. But you couldn't render reflections on PS1 like that. So what they did, they actually just made the whiteboard they lowered the opacity of it to like 70%, and they actually just put physical lights in the darkness on the other side. So you're actually looking through it and seeing other objects, but it gives the illusion of reflection. But since they did it that way, it looks a specific way that would not look that way if they did it with modern technology and it was a real reflection. It's all shit like that.
That, like the Half-Life technique.
And one thing I'm worried that they're going to get wrong if Bluepoint does this is that when I see fan remakes or fan attempts at remaking or reimagining Metal Gear Solid, it's almost always like very dramatic, very drenched in harsh lighting, and very blue. Yeah. And if you go back and play Metal Gear Solid and look very carefully, it's not what you might remember it as. It's actually a very colorful game. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot of different hues playing at the same time. In you can look at one area and it'll have a completely different color palette from another area.
Oh yeah, like you go from like white to blue to this like washed out green till you get to the magma area. It's all like red and orange. Yeah.
Right.
Like, every area has a distinct look, almost in the way that like Super Metroid or Hollow Knight does, as a way to differentiate each area. Yeah. Yeah.
And at the same time, the story, I worry that they're going to misunderstand the tone of the story, because sort of inversely, MGS1's story, in part due to the translation, is very subdued. It's very grounded in comparison to the later games. The later games have a far more anime sort of tone to them, but that first one is very down to earth.
It's like they sacrificed melancholy in favor of melodrama.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I vastly prefer melancholy over melodrama.
It's like, I wish him the best. I'm just kind of, after looking at Shadow of the Colossus, where they turned this, this muted, desolate landscape into this lush, beautiful place, and then Demon Souls, where everything seems to be sort of gratuitous in a way, I just am doubtful that they're going to be able to effectively capture that tone.
Yeah. You know what they need to do? They need to do what Toys for Bob did with Crash 4. And I mentioned this in my video because I thought it was a really interesting point. My friend Kevin mentioned this to me. So someone tweeted out like there was sketches from the artists of Crash 4 where they drew the original designs over and over again. And people are like, oh man, I wish we got these designs. But those people don't understand why they were drawing the characters in the original form so much. It's because they wanted to understand why the original designs worked before they make changes. So what they need to do is they need to hire like good artists that actually value the source material, are interested in what made it tick, what made it work. They need to look through Yoji Shinkawa's artwork. They got to find out why it worked before they make changes.
Yep.
I think that's one thing that Metal Gear has going for it against these other two games is that the other two are very based in fantasy, and like you can kind of like come up like, yeah, we can turn this guy into a dog, whatever, dog monster. But with Metal Gear, it is for the most part, you know, with the set design at least, very realistic. So they can look at these objects and go, oh, that's one of those sliding doors that they use at the hospital. Yeah, put one of those in there, and have the pneumatic tube go up here.
Yeah, you know that
and it was kind of like how they did with Final Fantasy VII Remake, where it was like you could just look up at the plate at any time, and it was like that stuff was there, and we can finally go in that elevator and see that elevator ceiling now.
That was really cool. As much as like people kind of don't seem to like the 7 remake as much. I never played it. I beat the original as a teenager, but I was watching Brady play the remake, and the fact that you could look up and that was just gone, that was really fucking cool.
Yeah. I can't take credit for this because somebody I know pointed it out, but there is a very John Carpenter-esque feel to MGS1 that the later games don't have.
Really?
Yeah, just in terms of tone and style.
Okay, in tone you mean. Okay, I was thinking I don't remember any weird monsters in Metal Gear, but I completely misunderstood what you meant. Tone. I actually watched The Thing for the first time a year and a half ago. And that tone is very melancholy.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of guys sitting in this room together. We don't fucking know what to do.
And that's what I meant was more like The Thing, because obviously Metal Gear Solid draws from Escape from New York, Escape from LA. But it almost has more in common with The Thing in a lot of ways in terms of tone.
Both have Kurt Russell, don't
they? How constricting it is. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, goddamn. Maybe Kojima was just a big Kurt Russell fan, and he drew influence from more than just what he thought he was drawing from.
Funny thing, Kojima actually they made an offer to Kurt Russell to have him voice Naked Snake in MGS3, but he
really
quote politely declined.
Ah, damn, that would have actually been really, really cool. Because that's remember when that was a controversy, them changing the voice actor of Big Boss?
Yeah.
God damn. That's that would have just avoided that if they just made him his own character, his own voice from the get-go. Because I always did think I get it, he's a clone, but he is his own character, and I feel like they didn't need to reuse David Hayter for him in 3 and Peace Walker. I felt like if he had his own voice, I would have been fine with that. But if it was Kurt Russell, god damn.
What could have been.
Tell me that. I'm going to be thinking about that my whole goddamn life. Jeez, that would have been sick. I think it's just because back then, Hollywood degree actors didn't take the game industry as seriously as they do now. Nowadays you got Norman Reedus in games. You got there's an actor from Midsommar that's in that new Little Hope. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, they got that meme guy. I forgot his name right now, but he's really good.
Yeah,
you guys are getting paid.
Remy Malek was in one of those games too.
Until Dawn.
Yeah.
He was so fucking good in that. I liked him more in that than I did the movie about Queen.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Yeah, haven't seen it, but I hear that movie's not super great. Remy Malek's amazing though.
Yeah, are you a fan of those the Dark Pictures series, like Until Dawn and the couple of games that they've kind of put out lately? That's what I've actually started playing Little Hope this week. So.
I played Until Dawn when it was free on PS Plus with my friend Rob a couple of years ago, but we were both really tired and just kind of got through it and didn't think much of it. My girlfriend really loves that game though, and I think I just got to tackle it again with an I'm actually awake and want to play a video game mindset this time.
Yeah, if you're in a bad mood trying to play that, you're hurry the fuck up.
Literally.
Yeah, the walking is so slow that'll drive you nuts.
It was literally that. We were just getting so mad at how cumbersome it was to do everything.
Yeah.
But you just gotta if I was more awake and was more invested in the story, That would have been cool. And I also feel like that game's probably better played with like more people than just like yourself or maybe you and one other person. Because it's like it's making all the decisions that like makes it so fun. Isn't that like the point of the other ones, that it is multiplayer?
They added like movie night mode where you can have everybody at the couch. And, well, not anymore because of COVID. But you know, somebody picks like X, Y, and Z character, and the other person picks like A, B character, and your decisions can fuck over the other guy.
That sounds cool. But my friend Daniel played what was the Man of Medan? Was that the
that was the one that first implemented that.
Yeah, he told me that the problem with that is that because of that, your character might die in the first 5 minutes, and then you don't get to play the rest of the game. Because that's what happened to him, and he was just like mad and just like, okay, well, I guess I'm not playing anymore. You guys enjoy the story.
That's crazy. I didn't know it worked like that. I thought it was more like everybody just like voted on every like thing that was coming up.
That's what I thought
would,
too.
Pick.
But I didn't realize that people actually played as the different characters.
And the first guy you can get killed is the celebrity face. I think his name is like Sean Ashmore, the white guy who played the Ice Guy in X-Men.
Oh yeah.
So you can fuck him over pretty fast.
That's probably what Daniel played as. That sounds about right.
This is not related at all, but it's funny that he was cast in The Boys as a guy with fire powers.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's
I've never,
cool.
I haven't seen The Boys. I've been hearing good things though.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's like
It's
one of those.
so good.
I hear it's kind of like my fucking idiot gamer brain is going to reference Elisa the Painful RPG as if anyone knows what that is.
Man, I've got that in my
hello.
Steam library.
Okay.
I still need to play that.
I hear it's similar to that, and that is just like exploring these toxic, shitty asshole characters, but in like a really poetic kind of way.
It's like, what if Superman made you give him a blowjob before he saved you?
Yeah.
Welcome to The Boys.
It's like what Kane and Lynch like wanted to be, but just sucked ass at
If you're sick of superhero movies, then
Dude.
this is the thing to watch.
The most Mad Lad thing that came out of Kane and Lynch was like the GameSpot situation.
The game. So, oh my god, how did I forget about that?
Was that Gertzman Gate?
Yeah, that's how like
is,
Giant Bomb pretty much started.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, Giant Bomb was the phoenix that was born from the ashes of Jeff Gerstmann's fucking Kane and Lynch review that got him fired. He finally got to like open up about that. Like his NDA was expired like a couple of years ago, and then he was on like a thing with Danny O'Dwyer, and they like talked about that. He's like, that was the reason I was fired because of that review.
I gotta look that up.
Yeah, that's a big part of the reason why I like Giant Bomb so much, because it was born from the ashes of like telling the truth. You know, we're getting so much money from this company that we're advertising their game. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to tell you what I actually think of it. It sucks. And then they didn't like that. So he's like, fuck you. I'm going to make my own website. I'll say whatever I think sucks. And none of you can do anything about it. And he's still doing that to this day. I love Giant Bomb.
Godspeed.
All right, we're coming on like an hour 20 on the total recording. You guys want to start winding it down, wrapping it up type deal?
God damn it. It's already been that long?
Yeah, dude, these things fly by. Man.
They
We always
really-
say it's like they're so fun to just like go and just kind of talk and just wherever it lands, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, less interview, more radio show.
I bought a Game & Watch. I couldn't get a PS5, so I had to get the new one of the new consoles. And it can only play 3 games, and you can't plug in any discs or cartridges to it. And I think it's kind of bad.
Hack it. Do it.
Anyway, this is just a bad joke. I'm trying to talk about it like it's a console, but it's a collector's item. It is cool though. Like being able to whip that thing out and playing through Super Mario. Like it's Super Mario Brothers. I beat it 1 billion times. Sure, I'm down for jumping through that anytime.
It's also a clock.
Yeah, it's also a clock, which made a lot more sense back in the time when not everyone had a clock in their pocket, you know, a phone.
Yeah.
I remember my dad saying one very profound thing to me one day that's definitely profound as fuck. And he was like, yeah, so funny how my grandfather had a pocket watch, I had a wristwatch, and James, you have a pocket watch. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And I said, wow, Dad, you're so smart.
That's profound as fuck.
If my dad said that, I would walk out of the room.
I mean, like, it is kind of like one of those obvious things, but it is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Shout out, Dad.
Well, cool, James, man. Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Is it
if you want
over?
to plug where people can find your stuff online?
I'm not here to plug myself.
Ah. Oh, this is Unplugged Javes.
Yeah, dude, I'm full circle. I'm unplugged now.
That's
no,
legit.
I'm on YouTube. It's just Nitro Rad, 2 words. It's like the shittiest username ever, I know.
So you should have gone with mine. Then we wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah, God. Well, the thing is, like, I could change it, but then like the branding still says Nitro Rad in every existing video I made. I've actually been considering doing what John Wolf did and just changing the channel name just to my name, James Lewell. I might do that someday when I start doing stuff other than Nitro Rad. But I don't know. Right now, I just review video games, mostly platformers. I try to go really in depth. I don't like just scratching the surface. I like people coming out of the video like, yeah, I know a lot about this game. You know, I'm gonna show the hidden endings. I'm gonna show all that shit. I like trying to be thorough. Mostly with platformers and horror games around Halloween season. Love that shit. And if you do too, maybe you like watching my dumbass videos about them.
Yeah, and you can follow on Twitter also at Nitro Rad.
My Twitter is like the weirdest thing. Like,
dude, you can just type like poop and it just goes viral.
Like,
it's just like, hey, butt still farting. Dude, that joke with the butt still farting in the video that you then included, I was like, oh my God, this is meta. This is great. You created a whole Nitro Rad metaverse, essentially.
I love this idea that people actually think I'm smart because I sat in front of a script for 3 days, carefully making myself sound smart, and then they follow me on Twitter. They realize I'm a fucking idiot. That's my goal, and I'm glad I'm achieving that. People seem to find it funny though. Like, yeah, I'll tweet "butt still farting," and then like a week later, I'll retweet that saying "still going." That's like all my Twitters. I mean, sometimes I'll actually be like, "Hey, I was thinking about Sonic today. That'd be cool to review." But most of the time, I just tweet stupid bullshit because I don't give a shit.
It's a good time, man. It's a good follow for sure.
I think life gets better the less seriously you take it, and that's what I strive for.
Yeah, man. Always staying positive, always looking at the good side.
Hell yeah.
That's definitely what your channel is giving me the vibe of for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that because
And thanks for answering my dumb questions.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. Thanks for asking them. I appreciate that there's humans out there that I've tricked into thinking I'm an interesting person. So I'm glad I could back that up with something. But no, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it a lot. It's been really cool. I can't believe that time just like flew by so fast. It's really cool shooting the shit with you guys.
Yeah, man. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Yeah.